Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to talk about motivation to study at 18. 18 is a strange age. You are not a child anymore, but you do not always feel like an adult. People start asking you big questions. What do you want to do with your life? What career do you want? What college do you want? What kind of future do you want? And sometimes you smile. You say, I am thinking about it. But inside, you feel confused. You feel tired. You feel pressure. You know studying is important. You know your future matters. You know you should focus. But when you sit down to study, something happens. Your phone looks more interesting. Your bed looks more comfortable. Your mind feels heavy. Your body feels lazy. Your dreams feel far away. And your homework feels very close. That is why studying at 18 can feel difficult. Not because you are stupid. Not because you are weak. Not because you cannot do it. But because you are standing between two worlds. One world is childhood. That world was simpler. People told you what to do. They told you when to study. They told you when to sleep. They told you what was important. But now, another world is coming. The adult world. In this world, nobody can live your life for you. Nobody can study for you. Nobody can build your future for you. Nobody can carry your dreams if you refuse to move. And that can feel scary. But it can also be powerful. Because at 18, you still have time. You still have energy. You still have chances. You still have the ability to change direction. You still have the chance to become someone your future self will thank. So today, we are not going to talk about motivation like a big fire. We are not going to say, wake up at 5 a.m. and study for 10 hours? No, that sounds strong, but many times it does not last. Today, we are going to talk about real motivation. Simple motivation, daily motivation. The kind of motivation that helps you open the book when you do not feel ready. The kind of motivation that helps you start when your mind says, later. The kind of motivation that helps you keep going when nobody is clapping. Because that is the motivation that changes your life. Let's begin with this idea. At 18, motivation is not just a feeling. It is a decision. A feeling comes and goes. Some mornings you wake up excited. Some mornings you wake up tired. Some days you feel like you can do anything. Some days you feel like even opening your notebook is too much. If you wait until you feel motivated, you will waste many days. And days become weeks. Weeks become months. Months become years. Then one day, you look back and say, why did I not start earlier? Do not become that person. Do not be the person who keeps saying, I still have time. Until time starts leaving. At 18, time feels endless. But it is not endless. It is just early. And early is powerful. Early means you can make mistakes and still recover. Early means you can learn slowly and still improve. Early means you can build habits before life becomes heavier. Early means you can prepare before the world asks more from you. This is why studying matters. Studying is not only about exams. It is not only about grades. It is not only about making your parents happy. Studying is training. You are training your attention. You are training your patience. You are training your memory. You are training your ability to solve problems. You are training yourself to sit with difficulty and not run away. That is important because life will not always be easy. Work will not always be easy. Relationships will not always be easy. Money will not always be easy. Health will not always be easy. And if you cannot handle a hard chapter in a textbook, how will you handle a hard chapter in life? That may sound strong, but it is true. Studying teaches you more than information. It teaches you discipline. And discipline is freedom. Many young people hate discipline. They think discipline means losing freedom. They think discipline means rules. They think discipline means boring routines. But no, discipline gives you freedom. If you study today, you have more choices tomorrow. If you build skills today, you have more opportunities tomorrow. If you train your mind today, you become harder to control tomorrow. A person with skills has options. A person with knowledge has confidence. A person with discipline does not need to beg life for chances. They create chances. And at 18, that is one of the most important things to understand. Your future is not built by your mood. It is built by your habits. Now, let's talk about the first big problem. You may be waiting for inspiration. You watch videos about success. You listen to speeches. You imagine a great future. You feel excited for 10 minutes. Then the feeling disappears. And you are back in your room with your phone in your hand. This is normal. Inspiration is nice. But it is not enough. Inspiration is like a song. It can lift you for a moment, but it cannot carry your whole life. You need something stronger. You need a system. A system means you know what to do even when you do not feel motivated. For example, do not say, "I will study more." That is too big. That is too unclear. Your brain hears that and says, "What does more mean?" Instead, say this: "I will study for 25 minutes after dinner. I will review 5 math problems before using my phone. I will read 10 pages before sleeping. I will write 1 paragraph after school. I will practice 1 topic every morning." That is clear. Your brain likes clear actions. A big dream is good, but a small, clear action is better. Because the small action is where change begins. Now, I want you to imagine something. Imagine your future self, not the person you are today, the person you will become 5 years from now. Maybe that person is 23. Maybe they are working. Maybe they are studying in college. Maybe they are starting a business. Maybe they are living in another city. Maybe they are proud. Or maybe they are regretful. This future version of you is watching what you do today. They are watching you scroll for hours. They are watching you delay. They are watching you give up too quickly. Or they are watching you sit down and try again. And every small choice you make today becomes a gift or a problem for that future person. If you study today, your future self receives strength. If you waste today, your future self receives pressure. If you build a habit today, your future self receives confidence. If you avoid everything today, your future self receives regret. So ask yourself, what kind of gift am I sending to my future self? This question can change you because many students only think about today. They think, I am tired today. I do not feel like studying today. I want to relax today. That is okay. You are human. But if every day becomes today, your future becomes weak. You do not need to be perfect, but you need to stop betraying your future self every day. If this message speaks to you, subscribe to the channel now and turn on the notification bell. Do not just listen and forget. Stay here, because every episode is made to help you study smarter, build discipline, and become the kind of person your future self will be proud of. Now, let's talk about starting. Starting is often the hardest part. Not studying for 3 hours, not finishing the whole chapter, not getting a perfect score. Starting, opening the book, writing the first sentence, reading the first page, solving the first question. That is where many students lose. They think too much before starting. They look at the book and think, this is too much. They think about the exam. They think about the whole subject. They think about everything they do not understand. And the task becomes huge. Then they feel heavy. Then they delay. So make the start tiny. Not small, tiny. A tiny start can be 2 minutes. Open the book. Write the date. Read the first paragraph. Underline one idea. Solve one question. Write one sentence. That is enough to begin. Because once you begin, your brain changes. Before you start, the task feels like a wall. After you start, it becomes a path. You do not need to feel ready to start. You need to start to feel ready. That is very important. Many students wait for readiness. They say, I will study when I feel focused. I will study when my room is clean. I will study when I have a perfect plan. I will study when I feel less tired. But readiness often comes after action, not before action. So do not wait. Put one foot in the water. Open the notebook. Press play. Read one line. Write one answer. Begin badly if you must. A bad start is better than a perfect plan that stays in your head. Now, let's talk about your phone. At 18, your phone can be your tool, but it can also be your thief. It steals attention. It steals time. It steals energy. It steals silence. It steals the ability to sit with one thought for more than 10 seconds. You say, I will check one message. Then one message becomes one video. One video becomes 10 videos. 10 videos become an hour. Then you feel guilty. Then you feel tired. Then you say, I will study tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. The same thing happens again. This is not because you are bad. It is because your phone is designed to pull you. Apps are designed to keep you watching. Scrolling is easy. Studying is harder. So if you keep your phone next to your textbook, do not act surprised when your focus dies. You are putting a candy store next to a hungry child. Of course the child wants candy. So protect your attention. Put the phone across the room. Turn off notifications. Use focus mode. Study with the phone outside your reach. Do not negotiate with your distraction. You think you are strong enough. Maybe you are not. And that is okay. Do not use pride. Use design. Create an environment where studying is easier and distraction is harder. That is smart. Now, let's talk about energy. You will not have the same energy every day. Some days you feel strong. Some days you feel normal. Some days you feel like your brain is made of cold soup. That is real. You are not a machine. You cannot study the same way every day. So you need different plans for different energy levels. On a high-energy day, study deeply. Read the hard chapter. Solve the difficult problems. Write the long essay. Use your strong days well. On a normal day, follow your basic plan. Study for 25 minutes. Take a short break. Continue. On a low-energy day, use the tiny plan. Read 1 page. Review 5 flashcards. Watch 1 short lesson. Write 3 sentences. Do not laugh at the tiny plan. The tiny plan keeps the habit alive. A student who studies for 10 minutes on a bad day is not failing. That student is protecting identity. They are saying, I am still the kind of person who studies. That matters, because the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to not disappear. Many students fail because when they cannot do everything, they do nothing. This is a trap. If you cannot study for 2 hours, study for 20 minutes. If you cannot study for 20 minutes, study for 5 minutes. If you cannot do 5 questions, do 1 question. 1 is not 0. Remember that. 1 page is not 0. 1 sentence is not 0. 1 minute is not 0. And when repeated, small things become serious. Now, let's talk about fear. Many 1-8-year-olds are afraid. Afraid of failure. Afraid of disappointing parents. Afraid of choosing the wrong path. Afraid of not being smart enough. Afraid of the future. Afraid of seeing other people move faster. This fear can make studying harder. You sit down to study, but your mind is not really studying. It is comparing. It is worrying. It is asking, what if I fail? What if I am not good enough? What if everyone is ahead of me? But listen, fear does not mean you should stop. Fear means you care. You are afraid because your future matters to you. That is not weakness, but you cannot let fear drive the car. Fear can sit in the back seat, but it cannot hold the steering wheel. When fear says, you are not ready, answer with action. Study for 10 minutes. When fear says, you will fail, answer with 1 question. When fear says, everyone is better, answer with 1 page. Action is how you make fear smaller. Thinking makes fear bigger. Action makes fear smaller. Now, let's talk about comparison. At 18, it is easy to compare. You see someone getting better grades. Someone has a clear plan. Someone knows what college they want. Someone is already making money. Someone looks confident. Someone seems happy. And you think, what is wrong with me? But you do not see their full life. You see the outside. You see the highlight. You see the result, not the struggle. Maybe they are scared too. Maybe they are tired too. Maybe they cry when nobody sees. Maybe they feel lost, just like you. Comparison is dangerous because it makes you leave your own path. You stop asking, what should I do next? And you start asking, why am I not like them? That question is poison. You do not need to be like them. You need to become responsible for yourself. Your path may be slower, but slower does not mean worthless. Your path may be different, but different does not mean wrong. The real question is not, am I ahead of everyone? The real question is, am I better than I was yesterday? That is the comparison that helps. Compare yourself with your old self. Did you learn one more thing? Did you focus a little longer? Did you avoid one distraction? Did you try again after failing? That is progress. And progress is motivation. Now, let's talk about discipline again. Discipline sounds heavy, but it can be simple. Discipline is not shouting at yourself. Discipline is not hating yourself. Discipline is not studying until your body breaks. Discipline is doing what matters. Even when your feelings are not helping, it is saying, I do not feel like studying, but I will do 10 minutes. It is saying, I want to scroll, but I will finish this page first. It is saying, I am tired, but I will prepare for tomorrow. Discipline is a quiet promise. a promise between you and your future. Every time you keep that promise, you trust yourself more. Every time you break it, you trust yourself less. This is why many students lose confidence. Not because they are unable, but because they keep breaking promises to themselves. They say they will study. Then they do not. They say they will wake up early. Then they do not. They say they will stop wasting time. Then they do not. After a while, their own words feel empty. So, start rebuilding trust with yourself. Make small promises. Keep them. Do not promise 5 hours if you cannot do 5 hours. Promise 20 minutes. Then do it. Do not promise to change your whole life tonight. Promise to clean your desk. Then do it. Do not promise to become perfect. Promise to begin. Then begin. Confidence grows when you keep promises to yourself. Now, let's talk about goals. A goal gives your study direction. Without a goal, studying feels like punishment. You read because someone told you to read. You memorize because there is a test. You solve problems because the teacher said so. That feels boring. But when you connect studying to your future, it changes. You study math because you want to train your problem solving. You study English because you want more opportunities. You study science because you want to understand the world. You study history because you want to understand people and decisions. You study writing because you want to express yourself clearly. You study because you are building a person, not only passing a test. So ask yourself, what kind of person am I trying to become? Do I want to be someone who gives up easily? Do I want to be someone who always needs pressure from others? Do I want to be someone who only works when the deadline is close? Or do I want to be someone strong, someone calm, someone capable, someone who can focus, someone who can learn, someone who can build a good life? That question gives studying meaning. And meaning is stronger than mood. Now, let's talk about the study environment. Your environment speaks to your brain. A messy desk says, be distracted. A phone on the table says, touch me. A bed nearby says, sleep. A noisy room says, do something else. So make studying easier. You do not need a perfect room. You need a simple setup. Clear your desk. Put one book in front of you. Keep water nearby. Put your phone away. Use a timer. Tell your brain, this is study time. When the environment is clear, the mind becomes clearer. If you study on your bed, your brain may want to sleep. If you study with your phone next to you, your brain may want entertainment. If you study with 10 tabs open, your brain may jump everywhere. Protect your focus. Focus is not free. You must guard it. Now, let's talk about planning. Many students make big plans. They write beautiful schedules. They use colors. They use apps. They plan every hour. And then they do not follow the plan. Why? Because the plan was made for an imaginary person. A perfect person. A person with unlimited energy. But you are real. You get tired. You get distracted. You have family. You have school. You have emotions. So make a plan for your real life, not your fantasy life. A good plan should be simple. What will I study? When will I study? Where will I study? What is the first tiny action? That is enough. For example, after dinner, I will sit at my desk and review biology for 25 minutes. My first action is opening page 42. That is clear. Or, at 7 p.m., I will write one paragraph for my essay. My first action is writing the title. That is clear. A clear plan reduces resistance. Now, let's talk about breaks. Studying does not mean staring at a book until your soul leaves your body. You need breaks. But breaks must be controlled. A good break gives you energy back. A bad break steals the rest of your day. Walking for 5 minutes can be a good break. Drinking water can be a good break. Stretching can be a good break. Breathing slowly can be a good break. Checking social media for just 5 minutes may not be a good break because it does not stay 5 minutes. It becomes 20, then 40, then guilt, then regret. So choose breaks that help you return. A break is not an escape. A break is recovery. Now, let's talk about failure. You will fail sometimes. You will get bad grades sometimes. You will forget things. You will study and still not understand. You will make a plan and break it. You will waste time and feel bad. Welcome to being human. Failure is not the end. Failure is information. A bad grade tells you what needs work. A missed study session tells you your plan needs adjustment. A hard topic tells you where your brain needs practice. Do not use failure as proof that you are stupid. Use failure as feedback. Ask better questions. What did I not understand? What can I review? Who can I ask for help? What should I do differently next time? That is how mature students think. Weak students fail and run away. Strong students fail and study the mistake. At 18, you must learn this. The mistake is not your enemy. The mistake is a teacher, but only if you look at it. Now, let's talk about asking for help. Some students are too proud. They do not understand, but they stay silent. They are confused, but they pretend. They need help, but they act like everything is fine. That is foolish. Do not protect your ego and destroy your future. If you do not understand, ask. Ask a teacher. Ask a friend. Ask an older student. Search for a clear explanation. Watch a lesson. Try again. There is no shame in needing help. The shame is staying stuck because you are too afraid to look weak. You are 18. You are learning. You are not supposed to know everything, but you are supposed to be honest. Honesty helps you improve. Pretending keeps you weak. Now, let's talk about identity. This is powerful. Do not only say, I need to study. Say, I am becoming a person who studies. There is a difference. When studying is just a task, you may avoid it. But when studying becomes part of who you are, you return to it. A person who studies does not study perfectly. They simply return. After a bad day, they return. After a distraction, they return. After a mistake, they return. After a low grade, they return. That is the secret. Return. Do not disappear. Do not make one bad day become a bad month. If you wasted yesterday, return today. If you failed last week, return today. If you have been lazy for a long time, return today. You are not finished. You are not trapped. You can return. Now, let's talk about motivation from pain. Sometimes motivation comes from dreams. You imagine a better life. That helps. But sometimes motivation comes from pain. You look at what will happen if you do not change. That also helps. Ask yourself, what happens if I keep avoiding study? What happens if I keep wasting time? What happens if I keep letting my phone control me? What happens if I reach 25 and still have no skills? What happens if I keep saying later until later becomes never? This is uncomfortable. Good. Sometimes you need discomfort. Not to hate yourself, but to wake yourself up. A soft life can make you sleepy. A strong question can wake you. Do not wait until life becomes painful before you become serious. Be serious now, while you still have time. Now, let's talk about motivation from love. Maybe you want to study because you love your family. Maybe your parents worked hard. Maybe someone sacrificed for you. Maybe you want to give them peace. Maybe you want to make them proud. That is beautiful. But remember this, you should not study only for other people. You must also study for yourself. Because one day, you will live your own life. You will make your own decisions. You will face your own bills. You will build your own future. Your family may support you, but they cannot become you. So use love as fuel, but build your own fire. Now, let's talk about the days when you feel lost. At 18, you may not know your path. That is okay. You do not need to know everything right now. You do not need to have your whole life planned. But you do need to move. Clarity comes from movement, not from sitting and overthinking forever. Study something. Try something. Read something. Ask questions. Take a class. Practice a skill. Talk to people. Take small steps. As you move, you learn what you like. You learn what you hate. You learn what you are good at. You learn what needs work. Action gives information. Overthinking gives confusion. Now, let's talk about consistency. Consistency sounds boring, but it is magic. A student who studies 1 hour every day will usually beat a student who studies 7 hours once and then disappears. Why? Because the brain learns through repetition. Memory needs repetition. Skill needs repetition. Confidence needs repetition. You do not become strong by lifting one heavy weight once. You become strong by training again and again. Studying is the same. Do not chase one perfect day. Build many normal days. Normal days create results. This is important because many students want drama. They want a big comeback, a big transformation, a big emotional moment. But real progress is often quiet. It is you at your desk. It is you reading one more page. It is you reviewing one more topic. It is you saying no to distraction. Nobody sees it. Nobody claps. But it matters. The life you want is built in moments nobody is watching. Now, let's talk about rewards. Your brain likes rewards. So use them wisely. After 25 minutes of study, take a short break. After finishing a chapter, listen to one song. After completing your plan, watch one episode. After a week of consistency, do something nice for yourself. Rewards are not bad. They become bad when you take the reward before the work. That is what many students do. They say, I will relax first, then study. But after relaxing, they do not study. So reverse it. Work first. Reward after. This teaches your brain a powerful lesson. Effort comes before pleasure. Not always, but often enough to build discipline. Now, let's talk about studying smart. Studying longer is not always better. Studying better is better. Do not only read the same page again and again with tired eyes. Test yourself. Close the book and explain the idea. Write what you remember. Teach the topic to an imaginary friend. Make questions. Use flashcards. Solve problems. Review mistakes. Active study is stronger than passive study. Passive study says, I looked at the page. Active study says, I can use the information. There is a big difference. At 18, learn how to learn. That skill will help you for the rest of your life. Now, let's talk about the voice in your head. Every student has an inner voice. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it hurts. It says, you are too late. You are not smart. You always fail. You cannot do this. Other people are better. Do not believe every thought. A thought is not always truth. Sometimes a thought is just fear wearing a mask. Answer your inner voice with something better. I can start small. I can learn this step by step. I do not need to be perfect. I only need to continue. I can improve. These sentences may sound simple, but they matter. The way you speak to yourself becomes the way you treat yourself. If you speak to yourself like an enemy, studying becomes painful. If you speak to yourself like a coach, studying becomes possible. Be honest. Be firm. But do not destroy yourself with your own words. Now, let's talk about your friends. The people around you matter. If your friends always waste time, you will feel pulled toward wasting time. If they laugh at studying, you may feel embarrassed to study. If they only talk about easy pleasure, you may forget your goals. You do not need to hate them, but you need to understand influence. Your environment shapes you. Choose people who make you better. People who talk about goals. People who respect effort. People who want a future. People who do not make you feel stupid for trying. At 18, bad friends can cost you years. Be careful. You do not need many friends. You need the right ones. Now, let's talk about parents and pressure. Maybe your parents expect a lot. Maybe they compare you. Maybe they do not understand your stress. Maybe they only ask about grades. That can hurt. But do not let pressure turn into rebellion against your own future. Some students are angry at their parents, so they stop studying. But who loses? The parents may be disappointed, but you lose your future. Do not destroy yourself to prove a point. Study for your life, even if nobody understands you, even if nobody praises you, even if your family is hard to talk to. Your future is still yours. Protect it. Now, let's talk about mornings. A good morning can make studying easier. You do not need a perfect morning routine, but do not begin the day by giving your brain to your phone. When you wake up and scroll immediately, your mind becomes noisy before the day even begins. Try this instead. Wake up. Sit up. Drink water. Open the window. Take a few breaths. Look at your plan. Do one small study action. Even 5 minutes in the morning can change your identity. It tells your brain, I am someone who starts. That is powerful. Now, let's talk about nights. Night can be dangerous for students. You say you will study, but then you feel tired. You scroll. You watch videos. You think about life. You get emotional. Then it is late. Then you sleep badly. Then tomorrow becomes harder. So prepare your night. Choose a time to stop scrolling. Prepare your books for tomorrow. Write your top 3 tasks. Sleep earlier when possible. A tired brain cannot build a strong future. Sleep is not laziness. Sleep is preparation. If you sleep better, you focus better. If you focus better, you study better. If you study better, you feel more confident. Everything connects. Now, let's talk about exams. Exams can create fear, but exams are not monsters. They are mirrors. They show what you know and what you do not know yet. Do not wait until the last night. The last night is not for learning everything. It is for review. If you always study at the last minute, you are training panic. Study earlier, a little each day. Review often. Practice under time. Look at old questions. Understand your mistakes. This is how confidence grows. Confidence before an exam does not come from wishing. It comes from preparation. Now, let's talk about one powerful tool. The study receipt. At the end of each study session, write 3 lines. Today I studied this. Today I understood this. Tomorrow I will continue with this. That is your receipt. It proves that you did the work. It gives your brain a small victory. Many students feel like they are not improving because they never record progress. They study and forget what they studied. Then they feel lost. A study receipt makes progress visible, and visible progress gives motivation. For example, today I studied quadratic equations. Today I understood how to factor simple expressions. Tomorrow I will practice 5 harder problems. That is clear. That is simple. That is powerful. Now, let's talk about bad days again. Because bad days will come. You may feel sad. You may feel lazy. You may feel angry. You may feel empty. On those days, do not ask for hero motivation. Ask for minimum action. What is the smallest thing I can do today? 1 page, 1 question, 1 paragraph, 1 review card, 1 video lesson, 1 minute. Minimum action keeps the door open. You are not trying to win the whole day. You are trying to not quit. That is enough. Sometimes survival is progress. Sometimes showing up is victory. Now, let's talk about dreams. At 18, dreams can feel exciting, but they can also feel far away. You may dream of a good career, a good college, a good income, freedom, travel, helping your family, building something meaningful. But dreams do not walk toward you. You walk toward them. And the road is made of boring steps. Studying when you are tired. Reviewing when you want entertainment. Practicing when you feel slow. Trying again after failure. That is the road. Many people love the dream. Few people love the road. But the road is what makes the dream real. Do not be the person who only loves imagination. Be the person who respects action. Now, let's talk about identity one more time. You are 18. You are not finished. You are not fixed. You are not trapped. Your current grades are not your final life. Your current habits are not your final identity. Your current confusion is not your final direction. You can change, but change needs proof. Every time you study, you give yourself proof. Every time you choose focus, you give yourself proof. Every time you return after failure, you give yourself proof. Proof builds belief. Belief builds momentum. Momentum builds a new life. Do not wait to believe in yourself before acting. Act first. Belief will follow. Now, let's talk about the people who say motivation is useless. They are half right. Motivation alone is not enough, but motivation can open the door. Discipline keeps you walking. A goal gives direction. A system gives structure. A habit gives stability. A reason gives meaning. You need all of them, not just one. So when motivation appears, use it. When motivation disappears, use your system. That is maturity. Now, let's build a simple study system for an 8-year-old. First, choose one clear goal, not 10 goals. 1. For example, I want to improve my math grade. Second, choose a daily study time. For example, every day after dinner. Third, choose a tiny start. For example, open the book and solve one problem. Fourth, remove one distraction. For example, put the phone in another room. Fifth, write a study receipt. For example, today I studied this. Tomorrow I continue here. That is a system. Simple, clear, repeatable. Do not make it complicated. Complicated systems look smart, but often die quickly. Simple systems survive. Now, let's talk about self-respect. Studying is an act of self-respect. When you study, you are saying, "My future matters." When you focus, you are saying, "My time matters." When you try again, you are saying, "I am worth the effort." This is bigger than grades. It is about how you see yourself. Do not treat your life like a joke and expect the world to take you seriously. Do not waste every evening and then complain that nothing changes. Do not keep choosing comfort and expect a strong future. That is childish. And at 18, you must begin leaving childish habits behind. You do not need to become serious all the time. You can laugh. You can relax. You can enjoy life. But you must know when it is time to work. Freedom without responsibility becomes a trap. Now, let's talk about patience. You may not see results quickly. You may study for 1 week and still feel weak. You may practice and still make mistakes. You may read and still forget. That is normal. Learning takes time. Do not dig up the seed every day to check if it is growing. Water it. Give it sunlight. Protect it. Wait. Your brain needs repetition. Your skills need practice. Your confidence needs evidence. Keep going. One day, the topic that felt impossible becomes understandable. One day, the subject that scared you becomes normal. One day, you look back and realize you are not the same student anymore. That day comes from patience. Now, let's talk about meaning. Why study at 18? Study because your future needs you. Study because your dreams need action. Study because your family may not always be able to protect you. Study because the world rewards skills. Study because ignorance is expensive. Study because confidence feels better than regret. Study because you deserve options. Study because you are building a stronger version of yourself. Study because one day you will wish you had started earlier. So, start now. Not perfectly. Not dramatically. Just honestly. Open the book. Write the sentence. Solve the problem. Review the lesson. Ask for help. Try again tomorrow. This is how you build a future. Now, let's begin the ending. I want you to remember this. At 18, your life is not over because you feel confused. Your life is not ruined because you made mistakes. Your life is not small because you do not know everything yet. You are at the beginning of a road, and the beginning is allowed to be messy. You are allowed to feel unsure. You are allowed to be scared. You are allowed to be tired. But you are not allowed to quit on yourself. Not now. Not at 18. Not when you still have so much time to grow. You do not need to become the best student in one day. You do not need to fix your whole life tonight. You only need to take the next honest step. One page. One question. One paragraph. One focused minute. One small promise kept. That is how change begins. And maybe nobody sees it. Maybe nobody claps. Maybe nobody says, "I am proud of you." But your future self will know. Your future self will remember. They will look back and say, "Thank you for not giving up when it was hard." That is the kind of motivation that matters. Not loud motivation. Not fake motivation. Real motivation. The kind that sits with you at your desk. The kind that helps you start small. The kind that helps you return after failure. The kind that reminds you that your life is worth effort. So, after this episode, do not make a huge plan. Do one thing. Open your notebook. Write this sentence. I do not need to feel ready. I only need to begin. Now say it again. I do not need to feel ready. I only need to begin. Good. That is your first step. That is your small door. That is how you start studying at 18. Not with panic. Not with pressure. Not with shame. But with one honest action. Thank you for listening. If this helped you, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and share this with someone who is 18 and trying to find motivation to study. Start small today. Protect your future today. And remember, the person you become tomorrow is built by the choices you make today.